Darkcast Network. Indie pods with a dark side.
Darkcast Network. Come to the dark side of podcasts. We have cookies.
Cookies? Me love cookies.
Hey there, Rainbow Warriors. I'm CJ, host of Beyond the Rainbow, True Crimes of the LGBT. My episodes focus on crimes committed by and against the LGBTQ community. I've covered cases you probably have heard of, such as Matthew Shepard, Brandon Tina, and the Orlando Pulse nightclub massacre, as well as some lesser-known cases like the murder of Ray Hainish, the Australian gay beat murders, and the suspicious disappearance of Lisa Lynn Stone. I cover cases brought to me by listeners like Penny Brummer, who I believe was wrongfully convicted, taboo cases such as lesbian corrective rape and murder in South Africa, and Pray the Gay Away camps. I discuss gay serial killers, women who pretend to be men to hook up with other women, and trans murders. I'm opinionated and uncensored. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but surely I'm someone's shot at tequila. No matter what your gender or orientation in life might be, please join me as I tackle rainbow crimes in search of unicorn justice. Remember, it's not a crime to be gay, unless you're a murderer.
Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
With me as always
It's
my
Dylan.
partner in true crime.
That's right. I'm her right-hand man.
My husband, my Tuma.
Her ride or die.
Yeah, Dylan.
I'm all those things.
Pain in my ass. All the things.
And here we are in the Mountain Murder Studio.
Well, yeah, you know, everywhere you go, Dylan, there you are. That's what they say. Something to that effect.
That's very true.
How you doing today?
I am in a fog, but it has lifted, and I see the sun shining now. Yeah.
I like that.
I feel better.
Very optimistic.
Thank you.
Yes. Spread a little optimism into this dreary day, Dylan. Let's give a big shout out to our newest patron, Jessica.
Hey, Jessica.
She's responsible for everything you say today.
It's all her fault, and we hope that Jessica enjoys the ad-free and extra content over there on the Patreons.
We love our listeners. We have the best listeners.
We really do.
We have the best listeners. The goodliest listeners. I can't do the impression. Anyway,
on this day of our daughter's wedding, you come to us for podcast content.
I'd like it better if it was the day of my cat's quinceañera.
Okay.
All right. We have part 3 of this wild-ass Fort Bragg story. We gotta tell you what happens next.
It's just so much. It goes in so many different directions, so many real
It's kind of like an octopus with all these little arms reaching out.
It is.
To tickle your insides.
What strikes me about the story is these people, all the people you've discussed truly are characters. You know what I mean? They all got these, you have a trooper turned criminal, you have a, elite
It's like
Delta
something
guys.
out of a damn Hollywood movie, right?
Yeah. It's great. I mean, honestly, this would make a good movie. I mean, if I read this story, I would not be surprised if someone was like, hey, that's this movie that's coming out. And I'd be like, wow, and I'd want to see it.
I feel like they'll make a movie soon enough. Who will play the state trooper turned drug kingpin?
Oh, I don't know.
Who would you cast? I'm thinking maybe Batista.
Okay.
Dave Batista.
Yeah, I could see that.
He might be a good trooper turned drug dealer.
Dave Bautista could play any of these guys.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
He could probably play the Special Forces fella too.
Yeah, he is a big dude.
Yeah. Well, we watched that movie recently with Batista and Momoa.
Wrecking Crew.
That was a goofy movie, but it was enjoyable. It was entertaining.
It was a goofy movie, but I have to say the action and the fighting sequences were really brutal and raw.
Yeah, no, I mean it was well done. It was quite like an enjoyable film to just kind of mindlessly watch, if you will.
It's what I call a popcorn flick.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. So moving along here, let's get back into our story. When we last left you, Billy Levine had murdered his best friend. We touched a little bit on the aftermath of that. Mark Leshikar's case was investigated initially by Cumberland County's law enforcement, the sheriff's office. It wasn't until a year later that the Army's Criminal Investigation Division took over. CID told Leshikar's family that they had to wait for the local investigators to close the case before they could get involved, which is total bullshit.
Now, even I know that is BS. They always run. They do not wait for permission from civilian authorities.
No.
They do their own thing, when
do.
and how they want to, and no one's going to stop them.
I manned a legal office for about a year, and I can tell you there were plenty of sailors who fucked up off base, got in trouble with the civilian law enforcement, and you best believe that the Navy was immediately crawling up their ass, investigating, getting involved. So not only are they facing maybe a civilian punishment, but also a captain's mast, non-judicial punishment.
If anything, if one investigation is going to affect the other, it'd be in the reverse. The military reaching out to civilian authorities and either sharing information or letting them know, hey, this is the direction we're going in.
Yeah, so I don't know what CID is thinking with this bullshit line of, we couldn't get involved, but I mean, come on, guys, you're lying. Then CID blamed the local authorities for failing to gather sufficient evidence and went with the district attorney's findings that Mark's death was justifiable homicide. Billy Levine would walk free on the murder of his best friend, Mark Leshikar. There had been a handgun belonging to Mark's wife in the Honda Accord that was parked in the driveway, and somehow this gun was photographed on Billy's kitchen counter.
Okay.
Nobody knows how the gun made its way from the glove compartment of the Honda to the kitchen counter.
So early on, the weapon that he was, Leshikar, how you say that? Leshikar claimed that he had was a screwdriver, right?
Right. But again, there was no screwdriver found at the scene. He was unarmed. CID somehow concluded that Leshikar was armed with this handgun.
Well, see, I don't see how CID can accuse the civilian authorities of doing a poor job collecting, or just bumbling the investigation, but then you're going to turn around and come to the same conclusion as they did. Off of, in your own words, a bungled investigation and evidence.
Billy Levine never said Leshikar was armed with a handgun. Investigators will then say that Melanie, Mark's daughter, and now remember she's 6 years old, told them that her father had a gun when he entered the house. Allegedly, Dylan, there's a video of this conversation that has never been released for anyone to see. But the child had specifically told her mother, grandmother, and other family members that her dad did not have a gun when she let him inside the house.
Well, and it makes you wonder, because at that age, most kids they don't set out to lie, especially about something.
Well, no, I mean, most kids at that age, they're going to tell you the brutal, honest truth.
Right. They're still at that age when they just say what they're thinking, what they're feeling. If they remember something one way, that's the way they're going to give you. They're not going to sugarcoat it. Nothing like that.
Right. The Army shut down the investigation in July of 2019, citing that Levine acted in self-defense. Levine remains a member of the elite Delta Force unit in good standing. Now, after this, Levine's drug use worsened, as did his spiral into mental illness. According to Levine's mother, Judy, he was a wreck after Mark's death. She said, quote, "He was devastated. I've never seen him more broken."
And I guess you could take that to mean two things, really. Either he really was afraid for his life and had to act out of self-preservation and kill his friend, or he wasn't afraid for his life, it wasn't self-defense, and he killed his friend for some other reason. Either way,
well,
I think that's going to leave you devastated.
Right. Well, I think, and this is just, my thoughts on the situation, having researched the case, they're both fucked up on drugs.
Right.
Billy's high as hell. His friend's high as hell. They're not thinking clearly. So even if Billy felt in that moment that his life or the girls' lives were in danger and acted, he was under the influence of 5 or 6 different substances.
And they'd been partying for days.
They both have mental illness. They both have these issues. Mark's high as hell and acting, for lack of a better word, crazy. And now Billy's all amped up, reacting to his friend's crazy behavior. He's out in the driveway taking the car apart, convinced that he's, being bugged or whatever.
Hey, this alternator's listening to me.
Yes. So I think in that moment, they're both super fucked up. And he acted, and again, whether it was because he felt afraid or just because he was under the influence and was in some killer zone in his brain. I don't know, but I could see where afterwards he's going to feel this regret and these deep emotions, right?
That makes sense.
You kill your best friend, whether you mean to or don't mean to. I think it's got to have some kind of impact on you.
Well, yeah, so he sobers up, even though if he continues to use drugs, that's going to be a whole nother thing. But once he sobers up from that binge, if you will, I'm sure he's like, oh my God, what's happened? Or, what the hell's going on?
Judy has stated that her son, quote, didn't get really bad until after Mark died. She blames her son's problems on PTSD. And to an extent, I get that, because these soldiers, service members, are coming back from combat zones, having witnessed unimaginable horrors that, human beings are really not supposed to see, this kind of damage inflicted on other humans. Or know, I did this to a person. Yeah. It's a very unnatural, if you think about war and combat, it's a very unnatural thing.
It really is.
Right?
It goes against all your normal morality in regular society, right? Because you don't go out there armed to the teeth looking to damage or hurt anyone that gets in your way. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
even in the way of an objective.
Well, I was going to say, just daily interactions. We don't go around just killing people and not feeling anything about. That's just abnormal.
And I think it's going to be even more so for people who are in these elite squads like Delta. They're going on these missions to achieve very specific goals. And a lot of times it's classified, off the books kind of things. And I think they're going to be even affected even more so by what they have to do or are ordered to do than your normal soldier. And that's not discounting what the normal soldier, quote unquote, goes through either, because Lord knows they see plenty of trauma and horrible stuff as well.
What is the quote? War is hell?
Yeah.
What was that guy? The British guy? I can't think of his name. Prime Minister. Churchill.
Yeah, that guy. The one with the cigar.
That guy, yeah. I think that was one of his quotes, war is hell. But you got to think about that. Folks are coming back from combat zones or just experiencing these really horrific things, whether it's a very, all sexual assault's traumatic, but a military sexual assault, that's pretty traumatic when your your colleague, your shipmate, the person who's supposed to have your six, does this to you. I mean, it's fucked up, right? So you come back from having this really fucked up traumatic experience, and the military basically here, have a prescription for some here, have some depression medication. Here, have an SSRI, an anti-anxiety medication, whatever. They throw some pills at you and send you on your way. These people are not getting real treatment. They're not getting real help. You're just left to your own devices to figure it out. And even if you're reaching out for help, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get it. And or you're going to be placed with some military counselor, doctor, psychiatrist, and they're kind of a joke. I mean, you've seen my experience at the VA.
Right.
I've had not good experiences trying to get help. And not to discredit, I guess, VA doctors, but I feel like a lot of these folks kind of maybe can't hack it or in the real world, and then they go work for the VA because they're just not that good at what they do.
Well, and I think a part of it is, even if they have the best of intentions and are very talented, they're inside of a system that is just inadequate. And
I get they're overwhelmed, lots of patients. They, were herded in and out like cattle. But at the same time, I mean, I've sat down with some psychiatrists that I'm just like, what the fuck are you even doing here?
Well, it's like
you go to them struggling, and, I had a guy tell me one time, maybe you just need to practice some mindfulness.
What are you, an app? What the hell?
Yeah, I know. I was like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? I've got all these fucking problems, and I'm naming them off the list of things that are going on with me. And your recommendation is I should practice some mindfulness?
Thanks, bud.
I'm very mindful that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I basically left that guy's office and was just like, what a fucking joke.
So it certainly sounds like they're getting inadequate care and help.
They are definitely getting inadequate care and help
after going through all these things, and that is never going to be a good thing.
Right, and they're expected to return to active duty and perform their job, the functions of their job, like normal, like there's no problem. So I can see why Judy says, like, a lot of her son's issues stem from PTSD, because he's not being properly treated. And he's just expected to go on with his life after having done these things that, I mean, he's obviously traumatized.
Yeah, I mean, for decades, they wouldn't even name what was happening to these soldiers. They wouldn't even call it PTSD.
Shell shock.
They wouldn't admit, really, that it's a huge problem.
Oh, exactly. And as we all know, I mean, untreated mental illness, a lot of people self-medicate. That's how you end up with drug addicts. Is a lot of times people self-medicating from the trauma they've had in their lives.
Certainly.
Even after Billy checked himself into the hospital and missed a muster in March of 2018. Now, at this time, like, he's struggling. He goes to the hospital, checks himself in, and he tells the doctor, like, I've been using cocaine. I'm a drug user. I've been partying with cocaine and meth and all these other drugs for months. I've got these drugs in my system. Even at that point, Delta Force does not make a move to, like, release him.
I mean, it just makes you wonder what you got to do to get thrown out of Delta Force.
We've had multiple, drug problems, failed drug tests. He's murdered his friend. He's been busted at home with, weird shit, and we're just going to go about our business.
He's having issues, mental issues, obviously. He's having a hard time just, hanging on by his fingertips.
Maybe we haven't got into the weird shit at home yet, but we're going to get into some weird shit at his house that I just don't understand how the Army overlooks this stuff.
Well, I guess from their viewpoint, you have someone operating, one of these elite operators. They have a lot of time, energy, and I'm not saying it's right, but you think of the military as like a business kind of. And they have all this time and energy and money and training and all this stuff. I guess it's in their best interest. The way they view it, maybe, is to, unless absolutely necessary, keep this person, keep being able to use this person, right? I mean, and that's really a bad way to look at it as far as for the person or anyone else involved, but that seems to be the way they view it.
We've made an investment.
Yes.
And if they're out acting like a crazy wild criminal, that's just boys being boys.
Now take this really badass gun and go back up these other people that are counting on you.
Take a bag of heroin with you when you do it. Now, in the months following Leshikar's murder, Billy's mental state rapidly declined. His father started noticing a big change in his son's personality, especially when he came down from Michigan for a visit. It seems like he stayed maybe for a few weeks, so he really did have a close-up view of what was going on with his son. He noticed Billy, just staring off into space for prolonged periods of time, completely checked out, like he's just not there.
Well, that's not good.
Bill Sr. took his son to see some fireworks, 4th of July on Fort Bragg, and he recognizes that Billy is on edge around all these crowds of people. There are all these loud noises. Of course, you got the fireworks, there's smoke, and even machine gun fire.
Oh.
Getting patriotic out there.
Sounds like a fun 4th.
America. You got the eagle running around with, dual machine guns. Yeah. Bill Sr. actually had to remove his son from the base. They had to leave because he said Billy was, quote, seeing bad things. Which in my mind, he's having flashbacks.
Well, that's what it sounds like.
He's startled by these loud noises and the smoke as if he's in a combat situation. Billy was seemingly struggling with the psychological weight of guilt and regret. He was tormented. His drug dealing became more public. He didn't try to hide it anymore. In late August of 2018, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office received a phone call from a neighbor complaining about something happening over at the Levine house. Now, when they arrive, they discover that someone had been cooking crack cocaine in the kitchen.
Uh-oh.
Just some crack hanging out. They seized cocaine, a crack pipe, digital scales, a gun belt, and various weapons. And there were so many weapons that I just didn't even want to take the time to name them all.
So
it's an arsenal of guns just hanging out.
Mixed with drugs and having a hard time mentally.
Levine was charged with manufacturing a controlled substance as well as the offense of harboring an escapee. Although we don't know any specifics about this escapee, who they were or what they had escaped from. I don't know if they had escaped from jail. Maybe they had just escaped from one of those escape rooms.
Wow.
You figured it out. I don't know.
So there was someone else present and they were a fugitive of some sort.
Of some kind.
Okay.
A fugitive from the escape room. Levine posted a $2,500 bond, and the court date was set for January of 2019. But sometime before the trial date, the district attorney dropped the felony charges against Billy. So although he is getting into serious trouble, no one is intervening. The army is going on business as usual. Billy's not getting any punishment, repercussions for his actions.
I mean, it's almost like they want something bad to happen or something else bad to happen.
Well, even if you're not just trying to punish him, do you not care about this person at all? This is a, serious red flag signs that this person's struggling, something fucked up's happening with them. You don't even care enough about your soldier, your fellow soldier, or your, if you're a commander or something, you don't care about your own people enough to intervene.
Well, I know. And it's like you said, when that shooting happened with his friend, the cops are just oh, they're all impressed. It's a Delta Force guy, and you should honestly, in my opinion, it's even more scary because here you have this highly trained, dangerous person. If they do lose it or go off, you're going to have your hands full.
To kill your best friend.
Yeah.
What's going to stop you from going in a grocery store and killing some random person that
Yeah.
you don't know?
So
you
you
don't
look-
care about.
You look at this guy's history and you see that he's not changed his ways. He's not cleaned up his act.
He's not well.
He's not well. He's still messing with drugs. He still has a house full of guns. I mean, how do you not view this as some kind of public safety, a danger to public safety and a danger to himself as well? And he just keeps getting slaps on the wrist. A $2,500 bond. That's not even a big deal. I mean, I don't get it.
I don't get it either, Dylan.
And then drop the charges. Don't even make him go to court, maybe get put into a drug court where, he's kind of forced to get help for his substance abuse or therapy of some sort, which I think the man desperately needs for many reasons. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, can you not commit him to a mental hospital?
Yeah, it's like
I mean, even if you don't send him to a drug program, can we not get this guy into like a mental health facility where he can, get some treatment?
Apparently not.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, after this drug arrest, 26 days after this arrest, to be exact, Delta Force finally kicked Billy to the curb. Now he's transferred to an administrative unit, basically to do this like a do nothing job, like. He has a job on paper, but he's not actually doing any work.
So he's just out of the way now.
Just out of the way. The non-combat administrative unit was a bit of a dumping ground for Delta Force's worst offenders. These folks were almost always facing some kind of criminal charge and then just being dumped off into this admin unit. So you can imagine the commander did not appreciate this.
Right.
Also, Billy... he presents a danger to the unit. He was known to threaten suicide, along with having this very erratic behavior that included damaging military property. He would fly off the handle, throw trash cans, chairs, turn over desks, break shit. And here he is, this big dude who has been Delta Force, a trained killer, just acting all kinds of... scary in an office setting. Most of the soldiers in this unit were terrified of him and they did not want to be around him.
And there are a bunch of other screw up kind of
not all of them.
okay.
Some of them are.
Oh, so they're not all Delta rejects.
No, this is an admin unit, so you have just normal enlisted soldiers, Dylan, who are doing administrative jobs.
Oh my gosh.
Assigned to this unit. So they're there just trying to process pay and travel and shit like that, whatever they're doing for in this unit, just sitting at their desk doing their job, and you've got this maniac over in the corner tearing the place up,
who drank all the coffee,
telling people, I'm gonna kill myself, and he's trashing the office and throwing shit around, and he's this big scary dude.
Well,
these soldiers are just what the they feel unsafe. They don't want to come to work with this guy. They want this guy out of the office. Can we not just send him home?
Wow, I just don't get it. I don't get why he's allowed to do anything. Because he's certainly not going to add any value to this administrative unit, right? I don't think he's killing it with his charts and his PowerPoints.
The vandalism will continue until morale improves.
Okay.
He's going to come over. He's going to knock over your filing cabinets. He's going to kick your computer. Yeah. You better smile. Be happy he's here. Okay.
You can't blame this commander for being what the hell? Why do I keep getting these people that are just doing nothing but disrupting my administrative unit who has a job to do?
Exactly. Well, this is very serious, Dylan, especially in this day and age. Workplace safety is a top concern.
It is. Yes, it is.
There have been so many instances of disgruntled employees going into the workplace, attacking people, shooting up the place.
Going postal, as they call it.
Well, there's that. So, yeah, if I were one of these people stationed in this unit, I would have concerns about this person who is exhibiting these violent tendencies.
And it's a scary person, right? I mean, you already have a job to do, which is, it is what it is. It sucks sometimes just because it's work. And now you got to worry about your personal safety when you go to the office. It's ridiculous.
Right. So let's get back to Timothy Dumas. In March of 2016, he was separated from the Army for moral and professional dereliction.
Wow.
I love the word dereliction.
I've
The way it just rolls off the tongue.
I've been derelict in
your duties?
in my duties sometimes in my life, and it's kind of fun, but it can be dangerous.
In the military, you are what we call a malingerer. You're malingering.
Okay.
You're a malingerer, Dylan.
Figure
this out about you.
That sounds like something to make you itch.
You malinger in our marriage as well?
Wait, what is malingering?
Go look it up.
Is that okay?
In his separation packet, there were very detailed citations for Dumas's failure to maintain supply records, failing to report deficiencies, and losing sensitive items.
Now, it sounds like he basically wasn't doing any part of his job correctly, because that's like literally his job.
Aye. It was determined that during his 2012 to 2013 deployment in Afghanistan, many property records were missing altogether. Now, does that mean they've been destroyed, or he just was not maintaining records?
Well, I mean, it stands to question, is he just terrible at his job, or are these records not available because he wanted, the property's been stolen,
right?
It's been misappropriated. Yeah.
I would go with the latter.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
There was also a list of grievances that Dumas filed. Dumas. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. It's a new Rammstein hit single. So he files all these grievances up and down the chain of command, by which he made these like veiled threats and also decried racism.
Ah, yes.
Now he's in trouble. He's under the microscope, I guess you could say. So he starts making these threats. I'm going to tell. I didn't expose the truth, but I can.
I didn't do nothing.
I know what others are doing. You guys are like pinning this on me, and then saying, it's because they're racist.
Or it's because you have done these things. I mean, it's one or the other.
You could just do a thing called accepting responsibility.
Right.
That you fucked up and now there are consequences to your actions. But he's not going to do that. His complaints implied that he was covering for high-ranking officials. Yeah. Dumas sank deep into depression once he was discharged from the military. So sinking into depression turns to alcoholism. The once respected chief warrant officer had to earn money by delivering pizzas for CC's.
Wow.
I mean, this guy's been in the military for quite a while, and now his pension, retirement, benefits, all gone.
So everything he's worked for, that early retirement, which is nice,
gone.
And everything is just gone.
Right.
And he's totally screwed it up.
He's totally screwed it up. And not to like disparage people who deliver pizzas. I always think a job is a job, and I respect anybody who gets up and goes to work. I don't care what you do. I respect the fact that you're working, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I know. At first, I thought, hey, that now he's doing a teenager's job, but there's plenty of people that aren't teenagers that do that job, and it works for them.
But I'm sure
works for their schedule.
Having been this chief warrant officer, being in charge of the supplies, I mean, he is in an important position. He's in a position of authority. He's got a lot of junior soldiers under him, right? Going from that and feeling like I'm a respected member of the military to delivering pizzas, I mean, that's got to be a blow to his ego, especially a guy like Dumas.
Right. So for him personally, it's going to feel like a failure.
Probably because, he already has that overinflated sense of importance, going around telling people like he's special forces, even though he's just like a supply officer.
But the thing is, he has no one to blame but himself.
Well, there's that. I don't know, man, accountability, personal responsibility is so hard for people.
Well, in the modern day especially, it's like they're always blaming someone else for, and it's not a new phenomenon. This has always happened to some degree. But nowadays, it seems like people are even worse with it. Like you can have them dead to rights on 4K video doing something, and they'll explain how it's not their fault. That it's someone else's, made them do it or caused them to do it or
right.
whatever.
Because sometime in the 6th grade, someone pulled down their underpants and exposed their butt to people on the school bus or something. So that's why they decided to rob a bank.
Right.
When they're in their 30s.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's just, it's always something. And I don't know. I have a real problem with that. It's like a pet peeve of mine. Just take your medicine. Face the music.
You caused it.
You did this. Own up to it.
Right.
Accept the consequences. Learn from this mistake and move on, right?
As in my life, I've learned that no matter how bad you think it is, the best option is always to accept the consequences, just like you said, move on from it, learn, try to do better, or just say, hey, I totally fucked that up.
Use it as a teachable moment for yourself.
I got to reset.
I was doing wrong. I shouldn't have been, I shouldn't have been doing this thing.
I've been back to square one more than once in my life. Financially or, as far as the stuff I own or whatever. And it's because of choices I made, and you just have to start. It's not the end of the world, but the longer that you don't accept responsibility for your actions or the consequences, it just makes it worse. It just really drags it out. Right.
Right.
Because you're not having any self-reflection or you're not going to change any of your, modify any of your behaviors that caused this in the first place. So you're just going to kind of keep repeating history.
Exactly. So during this time, Dumas begins hanging around these two places in Fayetteville. The first one is Patty's Irish Pub, and the second is Mac's Speed Shop. These are both bars. And from what I understand, Mac's Speed Shop was where like a lot of bikers would hang out, and there were a lot of military members, service members who owned Harleys and various bikes. Part of like bike clubs. They would do bike runs, raise money, fundraise, that kind of thing, right? And so they would hang out here. And a lot of these guys were special forces guys. So Dumas is hanging around here, and he is spotted in the company of Billy Levine. Now, although it has been suggested that they really didn't know each other that well, they were more like acquaintances.
Okay.
Or like, this guy's a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing.
They know of each other.
Right. More than friends. Like, it has been suggested that. Dumas would tell people that he was going to blackmail the special forces. So he's telling people this while he's hanging out around special forces guys.
So, and that's a group of people I would target to try to exploit, right? Trained killers who can kick your ass in like 100 different ways.
Right. Like, I'm going to start blackmailing the Iceman.
Yeah.
The mafia hitman. Like, what are you doing?
Okay. These guys are trained in surveillance and hand-to-hand combat of all different sorts.
Look, here's my advice,
all kinds of weapons.
If you are considering blackmailing someone, I think you should keep it to yourself.
Blackmailing is one of those things that you seldom hear of, which I guess you wouldn't hear of the successful cases, but it seems like one of those things that always goes sideways, like trying to hire a hitman online. It never works out.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's a really a dumb thing to try to do to someone.
I was thinking about being blackmailed, and there's really nothing out there that anyone could blackmail me with because my life's pretty much an open book. And I've had this podcast for so long, and I've admitted so many like dumb, fucking horrible things that I've done and dumb shit.
Right.
That, I mean, there's really no way you can blackmail me.
Well, see, for you to blackmail me, I have to care.
Well, there's that too.
I don't care. Right?
I'm not going to pay you.
No, I'm not going to pay you.
Spill the beans. Show them the text.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's come on the podcast.
Put it on out there.
We'll post that shit.
Right. So Dumas has written this letter disclosing information, which we did mention this a bit in part 2. He would uncover crimes that they were blaming him for. Right. So he's getting blamed. He knows in his heart it's really not his fault. It's everybody else's fault. It's the higher ups. It's this chain of command.
This poor guy.
And it seemed that a lot of this blackmail or, exposure had to do with the drugs and the drug trafficking.
So has he prepared this as like his insurance policy, his dead man switch?
Yes, as we discussed in part 2. So,
Well, I called it a kill switch, but
well, we get the gist.
it's the dead man switch. I think if you're unfamiliar with that term, is basically, if something happens to you, you've give this information to a trusted third party, and they will expose the information. So it's almost like you can't kill me because the truth will come out.
Right. I mean, we've seen that trope in various films.
Well, yeah. I mean, they beat it to death.
According to Dumas's son, there was only one person who had a copy of this letter, and that person was Freddie Wayne Huff, the former state trooper turned drug smuggler. I told you that this would all come full circle. I know we've skipped around a bit and we've introduced these different characters. You might be thinking, how do these people relate? It's all going to come together. And it is true. Dumas handed Huff a thumb drive and said, hey, will you keep this in a safe place? Now, on this drive was a blackmail letter. And according to Huff, the letter detailed soldiers involved in bringing opiates from Afghanistan and then distributing them at Fort Bragg. The letter specifically identified these service members. However, the only name Huff will claim to remember was William Levine, who was alleged to be selling meth and cocaine.
So he's looked through the information.
Yeah, he read the letter. The minute his buddy gave it to him, he just couldn't resist. He had to plug that thumb drive in and read the letter.
Well, I think I would too.
Oh, yeah, I need to know the tea.
I need to know what I'm holding, for one. You have somebody who's been disgraced from the military. This very well could be classified information that could get me in trouble. So I definitely would have to give it a look. And also, I'm nosy.
I'm very nosy. I would need to know.
I want to know the
But I
gossip.
feel like that could also get you in trouble.
Well, it could.
They've been warning. I was reading a news report. They're warning people about if you find a random thumb drive, like not to plug it in because it could be some sort of cyber attack.
Well,
It's like a new scam or something.
Well, that's not even. That's an old technique. It's phishing, or it's a technique of. Gosh, I forget
Is it
what
like
they
a
call
Trojan horse or something?
Well, they will do this. Let's say you want to gain entry into a company, their system. Well, you leave these random drives laying on the ground, thumb drives on the ground in the parking lot, and you have a bunch of tech people. They're going, hey, a thumb drive, and they're going to pick it up. They're going to go inside, and, to their workstation and plug it in and see, like, what's on this? Maybe it's something I need to return to another coworker.
That's
blah
such
blah blah.
a simple, sophisticated method, huh?
Yeah, that's social engineering. The failure in the networks are almost always human. The human element.
I see.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about technology.
I know very little.
I'm going to trust you.
Shout out the Darknet Diaries. Great place to learn about hackers.
I know you love that podcast.
I do. I love
You've
it.
learned so much from listening to the Darknet
very good.
Diaries. February 5th of 2019, a 35-year-old woman almost died from a heroin overdose in Billy Levine's house.
All right.
Now, we have him obviously not doing so well at work. He's selling drugs out in the open. Like he's not making any effort to cover it up. He continues to get into trouble. And now he has a woman overdosing on heroin at his home. She was given Narcan. They did call, I guess, emergency services. They came out. They gave this woman Narcan, and no charges were filed.
No, all right. Which is probably not going to help him change his behaviors.
Later that month, Billy was sent to a substance abuse program at Fort Gordon, which is in Georgia. He was discharged for refusal to participate. Okay. This just, I don't know. It really bothers me. It's like you get this opportunity to go to a free substance abuse program. Those rehab programs are so expensive.
Right.
And that's why a lot of people don't go to rehab and don't get clean because they can't afford it.
Well, they can't get placement.
And, well,
they can't afford it.
Rare to have openings. They're so booked and waiting lists. So he gets an opportunity to go to this program. It's free. It's provided to him, free with the military. And he doesn't even want to participate. So it's like he doesn't even want to get better.
See, that's one thing, we've talked before about just the industry of homelessness and drug addiction. And there's all these people that profit off of it never actually ending, and all these things we might not agree with.
I think a lot of it's just a big money
Well, you got all these
laundering
NGOs
scheme.
and all these harm reduction programs and all this stuff sounds great on paper, but in my opinion, it's not. They don't want to fix it. If they could wake up the next day with a magic wand and say everybody's fixed, all the addicts, all the homeless, I think a lot of them would be reluctant because their livelihood's tied to all these nonprofits and grants and blah. That's what they went to school for.
And someone's
sociology.
benefiting from
Right.
the billions of dollars that have been pumped into these programs that seemingly don't help and
Only make it worse.
And we only continue to have more issues. Well,
No,
it's interesting.
But I'm sorry. I'll finish my thought or I'll lose it. The only reason I'm saying that is the one thing I think would truly help is if there was the availability of more rehab facilities to people when they're at their most desperate, because that's when you can actually have the addict want to fix themselves when they're at the rock bottom. They're living this terrible, horrible life. They can't keep up with it anymore. They're just tired of doing it because it's a full-time job being an addict, right? When you're at that point where you're spending $100, $150 a day, but yet you don't have a job, so you're out there hustling.
You're unhoused, you're scheming.
Yeah.
Like, how can I get some money? You're putting yourself in harm's way.
Right. And I think that's one part where we could do better as a society, and federal funding and all that is having, when someone says, I want to go right now, they should be, it'd be nice if they had somewhere they could go. A nice place, a good place to get help.
I think there also needs to be more oversight in like how this money is being spent. These organizations need to be audited. For example, I was just going to mention, I follow this guy on social media. His name is Kevin Dahlgren, and he lives, I believe, in Portland. He's worked in and out of the homeless, what I call the homeless industrial complex, and also with all these different nonprofits and addiction and that kind of thing. And he is now a bit of an independent journalist. He goes around Portland, Seattle, and his goal is to really kind of expose these agencies.
I've seen this guy
for
before.
Not really doing their job, and he'll speak to addicts and unhoused people, and he'll say, like, when is the last time you saw like workers down here offering you, A, B, C, D, and they'll be like, oh, we don't ever see anybody down here, or it's been weeks since we've seen a counselor or a person who's come to offer us help.
Yes.
So he's like, okay, so the city of Portland's getting X amount of money, and where is it going? Because I have interviewed 30 people who say I've not seen a worker, period.
Right, and somebody's getting paid daily to do that job.
Right.
And they're not doing the job. And I think now we all have
whether
heard,
that's like providing harm reduction or offering meals or resources to folks, hey, I can get you this.
we can get you on a waiting list. We
yeah.
can do whatever. And see, we've all heard about the massive fraud coming out of Minneapolis, and not to get into that, but I really do believe that that's just a really big example of similar fraud that's happening all throughout many of these programs, probably every state in America and places around the world and other countries as well. These NGOs and the people that are just getting all this money funneled through them, and they're all very heavy on the administrative side. It's like, why do you need all the you need boots on the ground? You need people who are actually going out there and helping people. You don't need. It's basically a very top end heavy management system for this NGO. It doesn't make sense, but it obviously makes sense for them.
My thing also is I've worked in a nonprofit position before, and if you're working in a nonprofit sector, you don't typically expect to make much money. I mean, it's one of those jobs, you go into it, it's like teaching, social work, you're probably not going to make a fortune off of this. So why do these executives and directors and CEOs, presidents of these nonprofits, they end up making some exorbitant salary?
Right.
And you're like, but that money should be helping people instead of paying you $300,000 salary. Like,
and you're really not doing anything. Let's be honest.
They're not.
Okay. Anyway, back to the story.
Right. So we just need an overhaul of the system.
So,
and we definitely need more, I think, substance abuse programs and availability for people who want help and mental health treatment facilities. Like, we definitely need more of that. And the money, instead of going into someone's pocket, being swindled, whatever, I mean, that's what pisses me off about fraud is that money is supposed to help people, and I want those tax dollars to help people.
Well, I agree.
And those donations to help people.
And one thing that's left out of the conversation, and I'll stop talking about it, in my opinion, is the rest of the citizens who don't have substance abuse issues. Why, how bad are our daily lives going to be affected because of the problems and issues these other people are having? Because in all these, every time they talk about something to help or make it better, they really don't talk about, if you say anything about like, hey, I should be able to go to the store with my granddaughter or my kid and some guy not be late, they think they're dead or the sidewalk covered in piss or, urine or excrement. I shouldn't have to deal with that, right? I'm a hardworking person. I go do my thing. I keep up my responsibilities for myself. Why am I being this adversely affected by this other stuff?
Well, there's just so many health and safety issues involved. And, when you talk about like low barrier shelters and these homeless encampments, just piles of trash and, the city or whatever will go in and clean out like tons of trash and literal tons. Like, hey, we cleaned out 20 tons of trash from this area. And that's dirty needles. And you got to think, those things are poisoning the environment. It could easily get into rivers, streams. Children can be exposed to these like dirty needles. I used to walk all the time when we lived in Waynesville, North Carolina, and our house was, kind of in the neighborhood of the middle school, and I would walk Rufus and I would go walk all the time, and I would find needles constantly in front of the middle school in the little baggies that people put their dope in, I guess.
Yeah.
Just all over the place. And you've got these kids coming and going, plenty of kids walking to school and whatever, and they could easily pick up that needle.
And get stuck by it.
Yeah.
They could get hepatitis from the needle. It's just ridiculous.
It's just a lot. And so we need to figure out better ways to like manage these issues.
So speaking of not figuring out better ways to manage your issues, we're back with Billy.
Right. So he's getting this free substance abuse help and does not want it. In my opinion, this guy almost has like a death wish. He doesn't want to get, I think he just wants, like he's doing all this. It's like a slow suicide.
He certainly doesn't care about himself or anyone else that he will affect, which is a trait common amongst addicts. And, I'm an addict. I've been an addict in my life. It's a selfishness.
Oh, it's a form of self-harm too, really.
And it's also a form of self-harm when you don't care about yourself. And if you meet someone in your life that helps you care about yourself, your health, and things, that can be the thing that changes your life.
You're welcome.
And yeah, I met that person.
I was going to say, I'm glad I can be that person for you.
I met that person, and she'll be by later, and I'll let Heather talk to her.
Yay!
All right.
She's awesome, whoever she is.
Yeah.
I'm going to give her a cookie. Okay, so a month later, Billy was admitted to the medical center on Fort Bragg. I'm not really sure why he was admitted to this medical center, but he tested positive for cocaine there. He passes a physical exam for the Army with no serious conditions, but it was noted he was considered non-deployable due to a, quote, psychiatric illness, although we don't know exactly what illness that is.
Okay.
Right. So fails this drug test. They are still aware, hey, he's using the cocaine. He's not stopped. And yet the Army doesn't really do anything about it.
I don't understand. Maybe it's...
Any other service member would be kicked out the minute they fail a drug test. I've seen ADCEPs for this kind of thing. I don't understand.
So that you think it's something directly connected to who he is and what he's been connected to?
I do.
Okay.
In August, Billy sold his house for $179,000 and moved into a small one-bedroom apartment. A few months later, he got into a relationship with a stripper named Amanda. Now, she had been arrested multiple times for drugs and also probation violations. Billy's parents thought she was bad news and definitely not the influence their son needed. Like, he's already got problems on his own. He doesn't need to be with this person who also has problems so that they can just have more problems together, right?
Right.
Amanda, along with two other men, would be arrested later as co-conspirators in dealing drugs in Fayetteville. And this would be like connected to Billy's little drug drug ring or whatever.
Well, often dysfunctional people find each other because someone who's not dealing with all this, has all these issues, they're not going to deal with your issues.
Well, and it's not just because she is involved in drugs or that she's a stripper. That's not why I find her to be a dysfunctional person. But I did find this article from 2007, which painted Amanda as maybe not the most stable person because she was arrested for stabbing her ex-boyfriend and another woman.
Yeah.
So she sounds very sane.
No.
And reasonable.
That's not a big deal, is it?
Yeah. Not only was Levine involved with the drug conspiracy, but allegedly he was performing as an enforcer for his friends, and it has been rumored he was working for Dumas.
All right.
Which, in turn, he's working for Freddie Huff.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is where all these people kind of collide.
Right. So Billy was known to provide security for drug deals. He would escort loads from city to city and also collect unpaid debts by any means necessary.
So he's the muscle.
Yeah, and he's an intimidating figure, even when he's strung out on drugs. And not only that, but he's always armed. Like, Billy has guns, he has access to guns, and he's always armed. Definitely a person you would be afraid of. I mean, if he came knocking on your door, like, where's my $2?
Well, and then his reputation alone, right? I'm sure it's common. I'm sure it's common knowledge. I'm sure they're making it known that he's a Delta, ex-Delta, whatever you want to call it, and that's going to intimidate people as well, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, it should.
If I don't want any big scary person knocking on my door asking for their $2. You like my John Cusack movie reference? I love the 80s. So it was in February of 2020 that an administrative board would decide how Levine should be separated from the Army. So they're finally taking all of this into account. They've kicked him out of Special Forces. He's been assigned to this admin unit. But now it's like he's a problem we've got to deal with. We've let him get away with these things for so long. We finally need to do something about him. Well, they decided not to give him a bad discharge, like a dishonorable or other than, general discharge or other than honorable, so that he could still be eligible for his pension and benefits.
Again, it seems like they're going above and beyond for him, don't you think?
Well, they are. I mean, it's definitely that good old boys club that many have described, because you have Billy, who's doing all this crazy shit, right? And he's still going to be able to retire with full benefits. But then Dumas, kind of doing the same stuff, and they kick him out. Sorry, you're fucked.
Well, I've heard people's stories before from the Army or Marines or whatever, and they don't mind hammering your ass and you losing all your benefits. I mean, it's no skin off their teeth. In a way, it's a savings down the road for, the military budget. So it's not like it's something they never want to do to anyone. It's like it seems like they just don't want to do it to Billy.
Well, it just seems to me that, especially like an organization or an institution like the military, should have a standard code. And this is what happens when you violate these rules. Like, there should be like almost a general punishment across the board instead of giving certain people special treatment.
Well, yeah, and that's what would make it fair for everyone.
That's what I find problematic about this, right? About a week and a half later, Billy crashed his truck into an elderly woman's car, then drove off. So a hit and run. Now, I don't know if this elderly woman was like in the vehicle when he hit her or if it was a parked car. I don't have those details. But I mean, a hit and run's pretty serious.
Well, yeah. Even if it's just property, you're a real big piece of shit to smash into someone's stuff and just drive off.
A warrant for his arrest on the hit and run was sworn out, and this time the charge did not go away. In July of 2020, Billy was hanging out at a trap house in Fayetteville. He was smoking crack and also armed with a gun. At some point, Billy started shooting at a 24-year-old man, an alleged drug dealer, who managed to get away. So start shooting at this guy. The police arrive. They capture Levine attempting to flee on foot. He was named as a suspect in a case of assault with a deadly weapon, which is a Class E felony. And that can easily be upgraded to an attempted murder charge under North Carolina law. now we're getting to like some really serious shit here.
Well, yeah, now it's on the civilian side as well.
And he's been involved in a murder, and now it sounds like an attempted murder. Somehow Billy's lawyer was able to get him off. They either didn't serve the warrant for the hit and run or just let it go because they get him in custody. They've got this outstanding warrant for this hit and run. Don't serve this warrant on him while he's in custody.
Okay.
And then his lawyer just makes this shooting go away somehow magically. He's got the golden ticket, bro.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way.
On Halloween, he ran a red light and was pulled over. A sheriff's deputy ran his name and found that there was an 8-month-old outstanding warrant for his arrest on this hit and run. For the first time ever, it seemed that Billy was going to suffer some consequences. He was finally taken to jail, booked, fingerprinted, photographed, processed like any other criminal.
Nice.
Because this whole time, he's never been fingerprinted. They never, had a mugshot.
That's crazy.
He just goes and they don't book him. He gets served and then they release him.
So now he's sitting in jail.
A court date was set for April 14th of 2021. Now, Billy had a retirement date scheduled for February of 2021. Over the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, he spoke with his dad about this upcoming separation. Billy wanted to return to Michigan and build a log cabin on family property. He wanted to get clean, wanted to, return home and just like start over fresh. So it does sound like he had, even though he seems like he has this death wish, it also seems like he did have some hope for the future.
Right, like maybe he's finally had enough.
Maybe I can get away from this environment and turn my life around.
Well, and thinking like that when you want to go to a completely new area, get away from your friends and acquaintances, or so-called friends, that's maybe when you're actually thinking about changing your life around.
Right, because that's the number one thing I've heard from recovering addicts, from people who are, in their sobriety, is that you cannot go back to your old friends.
No.
You can't hang out with your old friend group, and you really need to remove yourself from being around those people.
You have to change. You have to get a new playground and new playmates.
There you go.
You have to, because that is the number one person that is going to push you to use again is your friends.
Right.
Or your so-called friends.
Well, I have a relative, and he was pretty bad off for some years, and legal problems, just not a good situation. And being arrested was one of the best things that ever happened to him. He ended up in a court-ordered rehab, and then had to do the program for, it was almost a year or something, and then went to a halfway house that was in a completely different town.
Like a sober living facility?
Yes,
Yeah.
like a sober living facility where he had to, be employed. They provided the transportation for him. He could have visits and I guess earn like a weekend pass or something. But just being out of the environment and being away from those people, it helped him, and it really stuck because, he's 10 plus years sober now, doing well, has a family, owns a business, is successful, managed to turn his life around. But he's told me time and time again, I had to get away from my friends.
It's true.
Or I would have never gotten clean.
It's the only way, because other people that are your friends that are still in their addiction, they think they just want to have fun, man. They want you to, they like the addict you, because that's the only person they know typically is the one when you're high on whatever drugs, and they don't even know the real you. You know what I mean? And when your goals change, you have to find new people who have similar mindset, and that's just not going to work for you.
A few days later, Billy showed up at a trailer park in Fayetteville wearing a black mask and armed with a crossbow.
Okay.
He told a tattoo artist named Jessie that he was there to kill her abusive boyfriend. Jessie said at that point, Billy's brain was, quote, not functioning. She's a tattoo artist in Fayetteville, has a 68-page long rap sheet, so she's no angel. has been involved in drugs and theft, violent crime, all of those things. But somehow she and Billy have become friends. She's in a relationship with this abusive guy. Billy knows this, so he just comes over like, I'm going to kill this dude. So the boyfriend was able to escape the scene, and Jesse talked some sense into him. Like, you can't do this.
Right.
I understand that you are my friend and you want to help, but you can't show up over here with a crossbow
Well, yeah.
and your little ski mask. Like,
No, you can't.
you're not a vigilante. You're not Batman. You can't do this. Plus, I'm just imagining, like, you're just hanging out in the trailer park and all of a sudden you see this dude in a mask carrying a crossbow, like this big dude. What the hell, right?
You're right. That'd freak you out.
Jesse knew Billy was into more than just using drugs. He and Timothy Dumas were working for the cartel. She said, quote, "A lot of military guys that come from selection or retire from 3rd Group or Delta Force do." So she knows everybody. I mean, it seems like this is an open secret in and around Fayetteville.
You know, we've often talked about Fayetteville and how it struggles economically, and the corruption that's even through local authorities and government. And, you know, I wonder, as though I'm sure the base is an economic driver for the area, because it has to be.
Well, yeah.
I also wonder if it's one of the reasons that that place continues to have some of the struggles it has, being adjacent to the base.
Well, yeah.
When you do a story like this and you see this type of criminal activity and stuff flowing through the base, because all those imported drugs and stuff are going to wash right out into your community.
Absolutely.
And you're getting these drugs aren't. I mean, this is an entry point basically. So these drugs are not diluted. They've not been through 10 different people to get stepped on, which is going to make them less potent. You're getting the purest opium and heroin coming straight from Afghanistan, straight out of the fields, which is very dangerous.
You're right.
Right.
Now, this Jessie, she was interviewed extensively for the book that I use as my main resource, the book by Seth Harp, which I'll give you the information at the end of this episode. Jessie was actually murdered in December of 2021.
Well, imagine that.
She was shot in the chest multiple times, and her body was dumped in a culvert. The shooter was an 18-year-old boy from New York City named Havinio Hino Resimo. He was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole. And it's, believed that this was like a drug beef. Is why she was killed.
Okay.
During 2020, even with COVID-19, business was booming in Fayetteville for Huff and Dumas. So their drug business, I mean, it's not slowing down. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Half the cocaine they had went to Fort Bragg. Huff was moving thousands of kilos and making millions of dollars. But we got to talk about Huff for just a minute. This guy's making so much money. Millions of dollars passing through his hands. But he's broke. The minute he gets money, he's spending it. People talked about how he drove around. I guess he had a home, like a big, nice home in Charlotte for his family. He rented a separate house in Lexington for his drug, like his drug den. He would drive around in a Lamborghini.
So stupid.
In Charlotte. People said it was the nastiest car you've ever seen.
Ooh.
Cigarettes, trash, that it was like a rolling trash can, this Lamborghini.
Well, that's the old saying, easy come, easy go. When you don't truly earn this type of money, these amounts of money, you don't care about it.
Well, he is spending it as fast as it's coming in. He loves to gamble, so he goes to casinos. He'll drop $50,000 in an hour, no big deal. And he loves the ladies, and a lot of these companions are high-end escorts.
All right.
So he's paying, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a night to hang out with these beautiful women who pay him a lot of attention. And this is like a regular thing, like every night of the week. He has a bit of an entourage. So he's just blowing money.
Sounds like an idiot.
Just throwing money out the window.
Because, I mean, why wouldn't...
Well, or he's pumping this money into the economy, we could say.
He's an economic driver for the area. The smart play would be to do this for a little while, stack the money back, and quit, right?
Yeah. I mean, the goal, if we've all seen Ozark, the goal is to launder the money and then retire, right?
Yeah. Use the money to buy real assets, legal assets, real
Funeral
estate,
home, a strip club,
businesses.
a lot of cash businesses, car washes,
Right.
Breaking Bad.
And you can launder your cash money through them, get it in, to a legal account where you can use it.
Wash that money.
And just get out after you have some millions put back.
That's the thing, though. It's like they can't, man. They are addicted to the lifestyle. They're addicted. It's like, when people talk about like they're addicted to the streets. He's addicted to the streets, man. He loves this fast money. It's coming in like
he just
from every
likes,
direction.
right.
And he's just blowing it on expensive suits and jewelry and cars, women, and then gambling. I mean, it sounds like this guy had a real bad gambling problem.
What
Freddie
a
Huff.
moron.
Yeah. And we were talking about this the other day. Like, gambling is any addiction is bad and scary, but there's just something about gambling that it's like it hits different.
Well, yeah, because you always think you can win your way out of the problem.
Right.
You're using drugs. When I've used drugs in my past, I've never thought, if I can get just a little bit more drugs, I can fix everything. You don't even think like that about it.
Right.
With the gambling, you're one big win away from paying all your debts and catching your bills up and, not pissing your husband or wife off or letting your family down.
Or paying some other debt.
They're chasing a dragon, a financial dragon. And honestly, now that we've seen this explosion of sports betting, it's going to be a bad thing. You can bet on anything. I could bet on the coin toss or what colors this is going to be when they come out or who's going to walk out of the tunnel first. It's the dumbest shit. You can bet on literally anything and not just sports.
Well, I don't know a lot, about it, but you were explaining to me, I guess you have more inside information, that a younger generation, younger than us, so you got to be young because we're old.
Well, the people who are in their late teens now,
right,
to early 20s,
they become really addicted to this.
Yes,
to this online gambling.
It's so easy.
These
they don't,
apps.
Yeah, they don't have to know a guy. They don't have to have a bookie. They don't have to, go. It's just like comparing. Alcohol is a tough thing to get away from, because it's everywhere. Like if I want to find heroin, or use heroin, I have to go find the heroin. I have to know somebody. I have to go to whatever. And I have to go through some hoops. Alcohol, it's right in every store I walk in. Same thing with this sports betting. They don't have to know a guy.
Right.
It's right there on their phone.
Once upon a time was much harder.
It's harder to access, right?
Now you can go to the casino and bet on
and you got all these celebrities like advertising for how cool it is and shit. And I really don't understand how, as a society, we've allowed this to explode and come full circle like this. I don't know. There's always been some gambling in casinos and stuff, but if you walk through any casino and see people that are not having fun. They're there all the time.
They don't look happy.
They look very worried.
Well, I've mentioned this before.
And sad.
My Nana, rest in peace, Nana. I love her to death. She was an awesome person, very funny lady. She had a bad gambling problem. She passed away a few years ago, and she was like 80. She had a serious gambling problem.
And that's just them little poker machines in a gas station.
So, and lottery tickets. And it was so bad at one point that, like, my mom and my aunt had to get financial control of her money because she would just sell stuff, spend, and it was always, I'm going to win.
Right.
She would beg me, go get me some lottery tickets. She had a friend that lived across the hall from her. In these apartments, that was also an gambling addict. And that lady had lost everything. Like, her husband had a nice job at the paper mill. They had a home. They had land, lots of assets. And he passed away, and she, lost all of it.
Damn.
Went through every bit of money they ever had. That's
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Just the casino and gambling and these gas station slot machines. It's really bad, and I think it's an addiction we don't talk about. It's not as we don't acknowledge it as much.
No, it's more accepted
But it can be devastating.
I think it's one of the worst. The people that have that bug, they really have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to really impact their life very terribly.
Yeah. I mean, the minute
it can wreck them.
Your pension hits every month, you're, blowing it, playing poker, video poker. I don't know. I'm very cheap. I mean, I go to a casino, and if I part with $20, that's too much.
Yeah, it's one thing that fortunately I don't have an issue with. So, but
no, because I feel like that $20, I can go buy myself a dinner. I can go buy myself a snack with that $20.
Yeah,
I can put it to more useful purposes. Right? That's a burger meal at Five Guys.
So Huff does not feel that way.
Timothy Dumas recognized a problem, which was William Levine. So Billy's becoming a problem. As gossip spread, word was that Billy owed a lot of money for these unpaid meth debts and drug debts. He was getting drugs on consignment to sell and would not turn over the money. And a lot of it's because he was using. He was getting high on his own supply.
Right, which is never a good thing.
This kind of thing diminishes trust with other traffickers. If they are working with you and they know you aren't paying your debts, they're not going to want to work with you because they're thinking, are you still in my product? Are you going to pay me back?
Right.
Right? This diminished trust between Dumas and Billy. And since Billy never seemed to catch a case, people started talking. He's an FBI informant. He's a rat. The reason he, never gets in trouble, these cases never stick, he's always walking on this crazy stuff because he's a rat.
Well, and that's what it's going to look like to other criminals.
Huff couldn't understand why Dumas was still hanging around with Levine. Timothy openly expressed that he hadn't always trusted this guy. So Huff is thinking, well, then why do you keep him around? But again, Billy's one of those guys that just always slides. So even in friendship, people know they can't trust him, but they still are friends with him.
Right.
I don't know. It's like he's got the golden ticket, right? So we've got Dumas and Billy, they're kind of doing their own thing. Huff and Dumas had an unofficial bodyguard known as Joey Bananas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, his real name was Joey Green, and he would kill people for $5,000. He was a hitman, and people knew they could come to him, and he would take care of problems. So he's kind of working as their bodyguard. He's a very dangerous person. Dumas and Joey Bananas were always fighting with each other. They didn't get along. Huff and Dumas were kind of escalating their own drug use. So not only is Huff making all this money and selling all these drugs, but now he started using. And again, you just can't do that.
No, especially at this level with these amounts of money, these amounts of drugs.
Dumas was staying up all night. He had an obsession with skulls. Apparently, he would stay up all night, not sleep for days, and would make these little paper mache art projects, these little skulls.
All
and
right.
would do these little crafts where he would make skulls when he was all jacked up on coke and meth and whatever.
Okay, he must have had a skull room.
He was a crafter. So this is not a good situation. You've got this very dangerous bodyguard, hired killer. You've got these two drug dealers. One of the drug dealers is always going toe-to-toe with the dangerous hitman, the violent criminal, and then they're all high as hell. It's just
recipe for disaster.
Not good. On March 28th of 2020, Dumas was suspected of shooting into an occupied dwelling in Fayetteville. He was never charged with a crime. There doesn't seem to be any reason why he shot into this apartment. The family who lived there did not know him. He just randomly went to an apartment and started shooting. And one of the bullets grazed past an 18-month-old in his playpen.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Huff and Dumas broke into a home on April 11th of 2020 in Winston-Salem to retrieve some stolen items. Now, I don't know all the details because there's a lot of misinformation here. There have been reports that Huff's son had some things stolen from him. Other reports say it was Dumas's son. But these two guys decide we're going to go get the shit back. We're big and bad, right? We have Joey Bananas. So 7 people ended up being arrested for this home invasion and thrown into jail. So after years of escaping criminal charges, Dumas was charged with burglary, communicating threats, and impersonation of a police officer. That was the other thing. They pretended they were cops when they busted up in to do this home invasion.
Damn, these guys are just out of control, right?
Now, Huff was not charged because he had been good friends with the sheriff of Forsyth County.
Well, yeah, we can't forget his connection to the law enforcement community.
After this, money starts going missing, but neither like Huff nor Dumas had the guts to confront each other. So Huff's thinking it's Dumas stealing the money. Dumas is thinking Huff's taking the money. There's all this mistrust and paranoia. We've got Dumas going down for this home invasion while Huff walks. Yeah. Not good. Like, so we're seeing cracks in this relationship.
Right.
So in the late months of 2020, Huff and Dumas's friendship has shifted. They essentially stopped speaking. It is the last week of November of 2020 that Dumas sent Huff a text saying that Joey Bananas had disappeared. Dumas told Huff that he blamed Bananas, the hitman, for the missing money. Like, he's stolen this money and he's run off.
Oh, okay.
He's done run off with the money. According to Huff, Dumas tracked down Green, Joey Bananas, and killed him with his bare hands for stealing this money. He broke the man's neck, then had that ISIS fighter, remember the one that worked at the warehouse?
Yeah, okay.
The guy who went to Syria or whatever to train to be part of ISIS. He gets that guy to help him dismember Joey Bananas' body. Dumas confided that he had more serious problems, like, again, he believes Billy Levine is an FBI informant, and he tells Huff, quote, "I'm going to kill him. I don't have a choice." Huff had no reason, like, not to believe this. Billy had 6 felony charges dropped in less than 2 years. Billy had been asking a lot of questions about the wholesale supplier of cocaine, which Dumas found sus. Like, he just kept asking all these questions. Who, you know...
Yeah, you're not supposed...
Tell me about these cartel people.
You're not supposed to care where it comes from.
And
right?
Cartel rules said if someone was an informant, they needed to die. Huff didn't find Dumas to be like a paranoid person, really, and believed him. So he's thinking, okay, well, if you really do believe this guy's an FBI informant, then you probably have good reason to think that. However, Huff claims that he tried to talk Dumas out of killing this active duty ex-Special Forces soldier. Like, this won't end well. Shortly after Thanksgiving, Dumas got 4 kilos of cocaine from Huff. He phoned Billy Levine to say, "I got a mission for you." Now, Huff had an alibi for December 1st of 2020. He flew to San Antonio and was with a notorious cartel member, so he's out of town at this time.
That's a good alibi.
Right. It was on December 2nd of 2020 that the soldier/hunter found the 2 dead bodies on base of Dumas and Levine. So Huff is like, I'm out of town. I didn't have anything to do with this. But some folks are like, bro, you are directly involved with the cartel. If you think Levine is an FBI informant, like, you could have very easily ordered this hit.
Right.
You've had issues with Dumas. Nobody knows for sure that you 2 have made up.
So you just
People
get
know
rid
y'all
of,
were beefing over stolen money.
and you just get rid of everything.
But now you're claiming, oh, well, we made up. It's fine. I'm out of town. I don't know anything about this, right? The murders became an all-hands-on-deck kind of thing with Fort Bragg's Army investigators. Within a day, the Criminal Investigation Division had a working theory of the double homicides. Dumas had been contracted by someone to kill Levine. They further suggested that Dumas didn't act alone. There had been a third shooter. So Dumas and the third man had caught up with Levine, killed him, drove him in his own truck out to MacArthur Lake. But somehow the truck unexpectedly got stuck in the sand and foiled the plan. Then the third man decided to kill Dumas. Or maybe knew all along he was going to kill him.
Yeah, maybe that was the plan all along. You get rid of Levine, get them out there, in the middle of nowhere or out of the way, and then kill Dumas because he's the loose end as well.
Now, Dumas's son believed his father's murder and that this double homicide was a professional hit. Now, if you remember, Dumas's black Dodge Ram truck was found miles away, and there was absolutely no security footage anywhere showing the driver or showing this truck driving miles away and ending up in another county.
Right.
And so he's like, I believe the military killed my father. But other people think it could be cartel professionals.
Well, what do you think? I mean, what would be the military's reasoning for killing them and, leaving them where it would actually bring heat on the military?
Well, you've got all these special forces operators and various soldiers who are trafficking drugs. They are working with Huff, who is working with the cartel.
Okay.
It might be advantageous for them to get rid of these two loose cannons because they're going to fuck up the drug operation at Fort Bragg.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
They could expose this. They could fuck it up. They're not going to get their drugs. Like, these guys are causing problems.
A lot of money on the line.
Well, yeah. Now, the family didn't understand how they had no answers in this double homicide. They're murdered. There's this big investigation, and the families are getting no answers. Like, they don't know anything. And every time they call the Army, they're just stonewalled. So imagine, Billy's family, he served 19 years in the Army. He's murdered on base. It looks like a professional hit. Investigators seem to be stumped with this, and the family is getting no answers. They know nothing. That's got to be hard.
Well, yeah.
They're looking for some closure with this.
Well, yeah, you want some kind of information.
There was another strange bit of news that emerged on the same day that this double homicide hit the news. So 6 months earlier, an Army specialist named Enrique Roman Martinez, who was a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne, had been suspected of dealing drugs on base, and he had gone missing during a camping trip with 7 other soldiers from the 82nd Airborne. A few days later, his partial remains floated ashore, and there had been no updates on his death investigation. Once Dumas and Levine's murders kind of hit the news, New York Times reporters who were looking into this double homicide ended up accessing an autopsy report for Roman Martinez. And they figured out that he'd been dismembered. Someone had chopped his head off with an axe.
Oh my gosh.
So this guy goes missing from a camping trip. They find his partial remains, which was actually just his head floating in the water. And they don't have a body.
Wow. That's crazy.
No suspect had been named in that case. So you got multiple people involved in drugs tied to this base, and somehow they're all murdered. And having your head chopped off with an axe is something unique, right? You don't see that every day.
No, it's uncommon.
Many family members and others felt that the military was covering something up. Amanda, the stripper girlfriend of Billy, she was arrested about a week after Levine's memorial service on state narcotics charges. She also showed up at someone's house having been badly beaten. Amanda told this person that she had been attacked by multiple men. She didn't know who they were, but they had, beaten her pretty severely.
So, it sounds like there's some other players out there doing stuff, right?
Right. Her probation was revoked and she went to prison for 2 years. She was then transferred to a federal prison on a 10-year sentence for her involvement in all this, drug trafficking. Rumors suggested there had been a sizable drug ring uncovered by agents assigned to this double homicide at Fort Bragg. However, the FBI stepped in on February 1st of 2021 and shut down the investigation into the elite Special Forces drug trafficking operation.
Oh, yeah. Nothing to see here, folks.
According to CID agents, the FBI came in, basically raided the office, and removed everything the agents had collected. every bit of investigation, evidence, material, paperwork, you name it. Cleared them out. All the files on Dumas and Levine were handed over. James Comey, the former FBI director, never provided a single answer to any written questions that the author of the book sent to him, like the FOIA requests.
Right.
On why the FBI seized all of this information.
None of your business.
Like what's happening. A confidential informant told federal agents that Freddie Huff had the men murdered by a pair of Mexican sicarios. Huff denies this.
And so out of all of this, Huff just never goes down?
No, we're going to get into that. So in March of 2020, Huff has a new right-hand man, a Marine named Sergeant Rahane DeRiggs II. This guy was pulled over by Webb County Sheriff's deputies. He was transporting a large chunk of money from Texas. He had about $210,000. And he gets pulled over, this money is seized. Now, Huff, who has blown through all of his money and is broke at this point, like just kind of living paycheck to paycheck as a drug dealer, he has to get drugs on consignment because this $210,000 was like what he was going to use to get more drugs.
Right.
And so that money's gone. He's got to get this, these drugs on consignment. Like I mentioned before, Huff had developed a bad problem with gambling and paying those high-end escorts and nearly broke. So one bad deal, like this guy getting picked up by cops, put him in a very tough spot. By May of 2021, Huff had been investigated by a task force. Now, I guess he didn't realize he was under investigation. But they had Huff on tape selling drugs to an undercover, and they had multiple controlled buys at his drug house in Lexington. $3.7 million worth of crystal meth was confiscated from Huff's trap house.
Damn.
Freddie Huff was arrested 5 months later after the murders of Dumas and Levine for this drug possession, and he's in prison.
Oh, wow.
For a long time.
Well, there you go.
Now, I should also mention that in 2020, there were 54 soldiers who died at Fort Bragg, mostly from suicides and overdoses. Now, you got to keep in mind there are 50,000 soldiers stationed at Fort Bragg. However, there's no other military installation that has reported 50 or more service member deaths in a single year.
Wow. Makes you wonder.
Yeah. One of these suicides was in February of 2020 when a soldier somehow shot himself in the neck with a 12-gauge shotgun and then shot himself in the head with a .45 caliber pistol. Amazing.
Come on.
Amazing. Suicides at Fort Bragg during the year of 2020 were triple the national average. Now, do we chalk that up to, COVID was hard on people, or, that's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, given what else we know about the criminal activity going on there, it's certainly going to make you wonder.
The overdose deaths were mostly linked to fentanyl. The overdose rate per capita at Fort Bragg exceeded the national average as well as the military average. So something is going on at Fort Bragg.
Well, you could also, I guess, argue that that's where the drugs are flowing in at such a rate that it's going to, up the possibility of overdoses. I guess you could argue that. So
after all this goes down, we've got these 3 murders, drug-connected, all these overdoses. The Army finally decides, you know what? We need to combat drugs on base.
What?
We need to crack down on drug trafficking by soldiers in the Special Forces. 265 paratroopers were kicked out of the Army in 2021, while 209 faced court-martials related to drug offenses. But these moves didn't seem to have much impact. Again, you can take away the street guys, and they're just going to have more people out on the streets.
Well, it's like a hydra. You cut off one head, 2 heads grow back.
Anybody who's seen The Wire sees how this works.
Well, that's because you're not going all the way up the chain. You're not shutting off the flow.
Well, even if you take out the big guy or whoever, there's always going to be somebody else to step in the place of that person.
Right.
It's just a never-ending cycle. One soldier said, quote, "Fort Bragg is a depressing place and everyone hates it." Between 2021 to 2023, 15 soldiers were murdered or accused of murder stateside. Not all of these had a connection to drugs. In late summer of 2023, federal prosecutors finally unsealed an indictment against Kenneth Maurice Quick Jr., alleging him as the third gunman in the Levine Dumas murders. Quick had never served in the military, so he had absolutely no ties to the military. Quick, they alleged, attempted to dispose of Levine's body at MacArthur Lake, and that he also was responsible for firebombing Dumas's truck. Quick does have a lengthy rap sheet with drug charges and a history of violence. Like, for example, in 2016, he shot up a party while he was still underage and injured 3 other teenagers.
Oh, wow.
He was indicted for the murder of Montario DeJuan Taylor in 2021. So while he's awaiting trial for these 6 felonies, the Department of Justice charged him with the double murders at Fort Bragg. Fellow soldiers, family, and friends felt the government was pinning these murders on Quick. People found it hard to believe that, quote, "a scrawny kid with zero training had taken out Billy Levine, who even under the influence was a badass."
Well, yeah, I mean, that's got to make you wonder there.
Dumas' son asked, "Why would a 21-year-old be hanging out at Fort Bragg with my father, who is 44 years old? Like, this doesn't make sense."
What do you think?
Others assumed the special forces had killed Billy and Dumas. Quote, "No one will ever be able to prove it, but I guarantee it's what happened," said one of these anonymous soldiers.
What do you think there about that? That Quick had anything to do with it, or they just kind of pinning it on?
That's what I think.
Is that really?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Because
God.
Okay. The murder of Levine and Quick, you had to have someone who could get on the base, leave the base. The truck gets stuck, so this person's going to have to walk out, right? They would have to know their way around the base.
Right.
How to get off base. I mean, there's just a lot of logistics, right? On top of it, it's like a professional hit. They also take this truck belonging to Dumas, take it miles away, firebomb it. Absolutely no footage of this, no security footage of this, which I find in this day and age hard to believe.
Which means you have to certainly be have intimate knowledge of the base, especially.
You would need to know the base. You would need to know
the area,
various counties, a route that could take you there with no security cameras. And you're firebombing a truck, that's going to draw attention. So you have no witnesses.
It's crazy.
I think it's a cover-up.
Damn, what a story, right?
And there's been conversation like, oh, well, cartel, like hitmen couldn't get on, but whatever. These people are highly trained professional assassins. I think they could maneuver getting on base and off base.
Yeah, I don't know why some people think cartel, they think kind of, country backwards. That's not it. They're very sophisticated. They have their reach extends into government, into the military. They have connections everywhere. They can find out any information about someone, and they are highly skilled and very highly trained people in these organizations.
Well, at the end of the day, I think this was a cartel hit, and because these special forces soldiers were essentially working for the cartel,
they help.
If the soldiers committed the crime, which I think could very well have happened, either some professional assassins or they got these special forces guys to do it. At the end of the day, I think it all traces back to the cartel.
Right. Okay.
In my opinion.
They were tying up their loose ends.
Yeah, that's what I think. And Freddie Huff, I know he denies having any involvement in it, but I think, he's masterminded a lot of surprising elements in the story, from being a lawman to a drug trafficker.
Right.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Damn.
That he didn't order this hit or he knew that it was going to happen.
Well, he's also the only one alive out of that group.
Well,
so.
there's that. There's that.
All right. So thank you for that wild ride.
All right. So my main resource was the Fort Bragg Cartel, written by Seth Harp. He is a journalist. It's a great book. Definitely a deep dive. There's way more information in the book than I was able to share with you on these 3 episodes. I highly suggest reading it. It's very well written.
Damn.
Well researched. And there's a lot of interviews with people who knew these players.
Such a crazy story. It's hard to believe it's even real, you know?
I know, it's like something out of a movie.
It really is.
All right, Dylan, well, thank you for sitting down with me today to go over part 3.
Thanks for having me.
I know it was a wild ride. I hope you found it educational.
I did very much so.
And eye-opening.
My eyes are wide open.
I mean, did you realize there was this much shady shit related to our military?
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me because of just you got all these, alphas, all these certain kinds of personalities, and you just have, it's just, access to opportunity or the opportunity to do things. It is going to, whoever's willing to take that chance, it's going to pull them out of the crowd.
Well, I think we have proof that our own government is, some of the biggest drug traffickers in the world. I mean, the CIA has been doing this shit for years.
Well, yeah.
And so, wow, we found an opportunity to smuggle these opiates out of Afghanistan. It's going to make millions of dollars. That money can be used for who knows what dark.
Well, when the Taliban controlled Afghanistan, the poppy fields were almost non-existent, and now, in 2026, they're more than ever. There, as far as acreage. So, I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, it tells you all you need to know right there. All right, so
in this episode, I'm going to tell you, don't trust the government.
Well, yeah, just trust yourself.
It's
right?
all around. They're all bad.
Okay.
I feel like no good person's going to want to go into politics.
Yeah, well, I see what you're saying there.
It's a special psychopath kind of person.
Well, in this modern day politics,
That's
for
what
sure.
I think. Yep, for sure. So you're running for local mayor? I'm calling you out.
That's right.
Listener, you thinking about running for a councilman seat? I see you.
I'm not running for anything. I'm going to walk for it.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye.